Hello beautifuls, welcome to our channel. It's the Cabrera sisters and we just recreated this eye look for St. Patrick's Day. So if you want to know how to recreate this look, just keep on watching.
Also, we had story time on our first Heartbreak. If you want to hear the tea, keep on.
Hey guys, before starting the makeup look, we already did our eyebrow and we primed our eyelids. For our eyebrow, we used the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow. I used the shade Auburn and she used dark brown. And for priming our lids, we used the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Concealer. And I used light ivory and she used medium beige. So we're gonna
So since St. Patrick's Day is coming up, we're gonna do a St. Patrick's look. Okay, I'm gonna start with the shade Aquarius in the matte formula from the Zodiac palette. And I'm just gonna keep applying it all over my crease and just wing it out at the end using a tapered blending brush. And the one I'm using right now is the Glamour Dolls blending brush.
And for me, I'm using this color right here called Nana on my transition. For my transition shade and I'm gonna apply it all over my crease.
It's gonna be a little story time of our first Heartbreak. And for the sake of not revealing the real name, mine's gonna be Juan.
Mine's gonna be Punch Break.
Okay, so this dude, I knew him since basically I started school. I went to elementary school with him. I just saw him one day walking and it was kind of like the first kind of love thing. And I really didn't know how I felt about it because I remember that I used to like give him comments. I guess like kind of flirting, but it was kind of like rude comments. I would call him ugly or fail as you would say it. And we used to carry our little cubbies. And I would write comments like that. But looking back at it now, it kind of looked like I was bullying him. But he was totally not, it wasn't like he was not into it because he did the same thing with me though. But
you're getting emotional.
No, I'm not getting emotional. Well, yeah, like, I remember that this would go on, like, so much.
So how old were you?
I was basically in 5th grade. I got a new teacher, and that's when we started kind of flirting with each other. I don't know why. It's kind of weird, depressing. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, that happened, and, like, there would be days that we would go to recess and the teacher, she would have a group of kids that would stay back and just be in her classroom. And for some reason, I would always have an excuse not to go to recess just so I'll stay in the classroom. Because for some reason, he wasn't a fun kid at all, I guess, because he would never go to recess, and I would make up this excuse that I forgot my sweater in the cold days, so I would be inside of the classroom with him and some other random kids. So now looking back at it, it was a little bit weird, but it was, you know, it was just a little girl and with a crush. Well, time passed by and my feelings started to get more intense, and I found a friend, and for the name of, just not really her name was, let's say her name was Casey. She liked, we were kind of like best friends. She liked this other dude, and we had this idea at the end of the year to go up to the dude. I went up to the dude she liked, and she went up to the dude I liked, and we made these notes that, like, those cheesy ass notes from movies like, do you like me? And it was like yes or no, and they had a circle yes or no, and it was at the end of the year. I don't know why we decided to do it at the end of the year. I guess we were scared of rejection. Well, we ended up getting the notes back, each one of us. But I remember that the girl that was my friend, my best friend at the time in 5th grade, she received her note back, and it said that he didn't like her. And he was like, no.
It's so sad. Did you get your card back?
I got my card back too, and he said yes. But there was no way for me to hang out with him or anything, because we were kids. Nobody had a phone during the time, and it was literally the day before school ended. So basically, the lesson learned from my story is that I basically kind of went out with him, and we kind of never broke up, because I'm not very confused, because the ends of middle school, we still went together in the same school, but we kind of drifted off and stopped talking to each other. And so it was a little bit confusing for both of us, because at least for me, because we were kind of going out, but I kind of didn't really pay attention to it, and we kind of drifted apart. But he never broke up with me, so I guess we're up to this date. We're going out with each other, even though we never have talked to each other since then. And that was kind of my first love, because I kind of liked him since kindergarten. It was kind of like a first love, even though I was a little kid. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, he was my first love and my first heartbreak, because, well, I've stopped talking to him since 5th grade. Yeah, and that's what my story was there.
Well, guys, mine's a little bit more different than hers. Mine also started in middle school, and for the sake of the video and of him, I'm not gonna say his name, so his name is gonna be Pancho. So it was in middle school, and wait, hold on. First, let me tell you what I'm doing in my eye. So I changed colors, and I went in my crease with Morocco from the Nubian 2, and then I went in with Kenya in the crease just to intensify it, because later on I'm gonna cut it. Okay, but going back to the story, mine started in middle school. My first heartbreak and first fell in love, it was in middle school, and it was in, I'm gonna say it went to from 7th to 8th grade. And Pancho, it was during art class when I first met him. And I remembered, since my last name and his last name all started with the C, and they would always, teachers before, they would go in and try to seat you alphabetically. So there was long tables, and he had to sit next to me because our last names were almost the same. So Pancho, he was one of those kids where he was popular, and I was a nerd. I was a major nerd.
I don't know, the one kids that kind of mind their own business. So I don't feel her in that level. I wouldn't consider myself a nerd, but I basically just mind my own business.
Well, I was a nerd, and so the teacher, he sat us together, and we're like, okay, cool. I was a nerd, so I was always doing my work, and he was a popular kid. And every time we had to do projects, we had to draw houses and stuff like that. And since our last name were almost the same, that teacher would always put us together. And me being a typical nerd, I hated his guts. I hated him so much. I didn't even, I would see him, I was like, oh, I hate you. But then he hated me too. Like, we hated each other. It was like hate. Like, we just didn't like each other.
Yeah, bittersweet love.
And so I hated because I thought, like, to me, he thought that he could get away with anything because he had good looks and everything. So we used to fight so much. Like, we would fight so much. Like, me and him would be throwing crayons at each other. We would be throwing paper at each other. I remember one day I came in and before they used to play those games where like they would like put a paper and then just throw a water paper with a straw. I don't know if you remember that.
That happened to me one time. I was fixing to punch somebody.
Why are you throwing stuff at me? So the teacher, I guess he had enough of us fighting all the time because it was a constant fight every single day. And keep in mind, this was in 7th grade. Like, almost the second semester of 7th grade. And he ended up kicking us out. Like, he was like, you know what, go outside. And then he called the principal and he had a little meeting with both of us, and they ended up deciding that they were gonna kick us out of art class. So I was just so mad because to me I was a nerd. So to me, I wanted to learn how to do art. I actually did. So to him, he was just like, whatever, I don't care. I'm popular, whatever. Poncho is popular. So, yeah. And then, when they changed us out of that class, they ended up putting us back in Spanish class. Like, we had Spanish class, and again, the teacher sit us together. We would fight there because he would try to, Pancho would have tried to cheat with my Spanish test. Just try to go like this. I'm like, no, don't take my answers. And he still did. But it was this one day, where the teacher, he decided to do a project, like a group project. So it was 4 people that had to be together. And it was this one girl that she was with us. And then it was Pancho. It was me, Pancho, and this other girl, and another boy. So it was 4 of us. And I don't know why, this girl randomly, she's like, ooh, you're Carla's boyfriend. Like, ooh, you like her. And then that guy, and then Pancho was like, no, I don't like her. Like, she's ugly. And I was like, I don't like him either. He's ugly. Like, no, I hate him.
That moment when your crush tells you you're ugly, your heart breaks.
But then, like, during that project, when we were doing it that same day and stuff, he turns around and he just gives me this look and he smiles, like, all innocent. And I was just like, oh, he's cute. Like, ooh, maybe he's a nice guy, maybe. So after that, like, it was just that clicked. It was just that smile that was like, maybe he's cute. So for a while, like, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna be nicer to him. I was like, I'm gonna be nice. And so after that, he stopped being mean too as well. But not, I mean, we're still fighting, but it wasn't like, because to me, everything changed at that moment when he smiled at me and he was just like, ooh, like, all nice. I was like, oh, he might like me, you know? So that's when I started being, you know, like, I was like, oh, that was my first crush. Like, with him, that was my first crush, and I was just like, okay, maybe. So the year ended, and then came 8th grade. I ended up having math and science with him as well. So to me, at that moment, I was just like, oh, yes. Like, I was like, yes, I have him, you know? I have him in the class, because I was like hoping in summer, I was like, maybe I'll see him again, maybe. So I was just like, okay. So I found out that we had 2 classes, science and math. And
how do you find out?
Cause I mean, like, you know, when you have your little groups, like, they talk and stuff, and they're like, oh, let me see your schedule, and they're like, oh, let me see your schedule. So that's how. Cause at that time I was just like, okay, I like him now, so now I'm gonna be like, you know, me gusta este, or you know.
Yeah, like.
So yeah, we ended up just whatever, and he stopped bugging me for like the rest of the year and stuff, but I knew he didn't see me as, you know, like, I know he didn't see me as something else. Like, he was just like, okay, I'm done bugging her, like, whatever, moving on to the next victim that I'm gonna bully or something. So in that time, during the whole year, I had my best friend. We're gonna call her Mary. But yeah, my best friend, she was in yearbook, and me and her, we had a gym class. So she would have to go to the cafeteria and get on stage and try to sell the yearbooks. So my teacher, he we were chill, like, me and him and her, we were all chill. Like, he wouldn't like try to like keep us there, because he knew like we weren't gonna do anything. Like, we would just sit in the bleachers or something and just talk. So he would just let me go with her, and we would sit at the bleachers, and she would have like a whole list, like a whole page, like it was probably like 4 or 5 pages of names and address and phone numbers of all the students in that grade that she would try to have to sell the yearbooks. So I was there with her, and at that time she had a crush too. Like, she had this boy that she had a crush, and then me and her would just sit at the cafeteria in the stage, and we would try to like try to sell the yearbooks. But in the list, the name of the boy that she liked, it was there. So she knew the bus number, she knew the address where he lived, she knew his phone number,
She went FBI.
Yes, like, she knew. So I was just like thinking, I was like, oh, okay, so let me find out about Pancho. So I started stalking Pancho. So I was like, let me find his name. So I found his name, and it said the address, and it said his phone number, and yeah, like, his information. So I was just like, okay. And I would see him, like, I swear, I would see him caminando, like, in the hallways, and he would be like, he would just smile at me now, be all nice, and I was just like, oh, my heart melted. I was like, yes, keep smiling at me, that's my
Yes.
And yeah, like, because her house was in front of the school. Like, literally, you would just cross that little street, and her house was literally in front of the school. So I would, like, wait for my ride. I would wait for my mother to come pick me up, and me and her would just sit in her stairs, like, before, like, in the doorway, it has stairs. So we would just sit there, and we would just wait. Like, we literally would just wait there outside for the bus of her crush to pass by with him, because we knew that he would always sit on a window of the bus, and he would always have his window down. So we knew that he was gonna pass by. So me and her would just sit there and just be like, oh, he's coming, his bus is coming, like, oh, look at him, like, when he would pass by. And I was like, oh, I'm so jelly that you get to see him. And then after that, I found out that his house was literally close to the school too. And at that time, there was a time where my mom couldn't pick us up, and my dad either. So we would have to walk to our house, because our house wasn't that far. So we would have to walk there. And oh, I need to do my makeup. I'm gonna cut my crease, and yeah, and then I will show you the color I'm gonna go in with next. I'm
gonna go in back with the masquerade palette. I'm gonna go in with the shade Bori, with the same tapered blending brush. A little bit just to deepen up the crease.
I am going to cut the crease with the Guanaguayo concealer, and I'm gonna be using this brush right here. And yeah, So anyways, continuing to, my mom couldn't pick us up or my dad, so we had to walk. And I found out that his house was his apartments, because he lived in apartments. The apartments were, I even know, like the apartments were literally, when me and my brother would go to our house, we would pass by those apartments. And sometimes I knew that he would go walking, because sometimes he would just stay for football practice or soccer, whichever it was in season. And I knew the days that he would just go home walking. So tell me why I would try to hurry up, my nerdy ass. Try to hurry up.
Harold.
Yes, I had to like walk fast because he was athletic, so he was in shape. But I would sprint. I would literally sometimes sprint to go and catch up to him, to just see his back. Like, I didn't care to see his face. I didn't care to see nothing. I just cared to see his back. So I would just go walking, and I would just be like, oh, your back is so beautiful.
Just admiring it.
Oh my god, can't believe I'm saying this. But yeah, I was like, oh, his back is so beautiful.
The shade Scorpio, mate shade of Scorpio.
And so yeah, for a while I would just walk. I would even tell my mom, like, don't come for us. Like, I'll walk. One of my friends, the other stalker friend, Mary, she told me that he was already engaged to somebody and stuff. So it's like, oh. But yeah, that was. And then like I said, my friend, she has said that he was already trying to go out with this other girl that he liked, and that, yeah. So that broke my heart. I was just like, I wanted to be that girl. But yeah, no, it didn't happen. But yeah, that was my first heartbreak. Okay guys, now that I have cut the crease, I'm gonna go in with, I'm going with Egypt from this palette right here. Going with this color. It's a green. It's like an olive green color, kind of. I'm gonna spray it a little bit with the Fix Plus, the Mario Badescu. We're gonna go in with Nubia, this one right here. It's a very pretty gold. Like, it's literally like if you had gold. Swatch it so you can see it. I don't know if you can barely see that, but it's very beautiful. We're gonna go in with this one with Buzo, and then I'm just gonna put this one right here in the corner.
From the Masquerade palette, this green right here.
Okay, so then we're gonna grab a really small taper brush, and I'm gonna blend in the right here. I'm just gonna blend it like that in the both of the sides of the gold color, so it will just blend beautifully.
And we'll also be going in with the shimmer shade Aquarius in the Zodiac palette from Beige Cosmetics. I'm gonna go in with the Aquarius shade brush, the shimmer shade, with the flat packer brush.
another brush, and we're gonna try to intensify our crease right there. Okay, to intensify my crease, I'm gonna go in with Kenya right here, and I'm going in with this kind of brush, like a really small taper brush. This more glam, you know. I mean, the look is done already, like this is good, but to me, I am a very glittery person, so I love glitter. So I'm going with the Revlon Photo Ready Eye Art, this one right here. This is the shade Desert Dazzle, this one. I'm gonna go in just with this, the gold color over here, the gold glitter, and I'm gonna try to like take most of it off. I don't want most of it off, just to keep the one like this much. Not a lot. And then I'm just gonna like spread it around in the yellow.
I'm gonna apply the glitter glue along the line and just drag it out into the wing, and then also the same thing in the other one with the Super Glitters Mini Jar in Mint Julep.
Link it in the description box if you want to know. So yeah.
And a tip that I have for this line is that you take the glue little by little, drag it out just little by little. I'm just gonna start with my inner corner right now and apply the glitter. Wait until it gets a little bit tacky.
Okay, so we're just gonna put our falsies on and we'll come back. We did our lashes and a little bit of eyeliner in the upper waterline. And the lashes I used are Casina Professionals in the number 102. I don't know if you can see those right there. And she used,
I believe that used the Cherry Blossoms 107.
So yeah, this is the lashes that I'm doing.
This is the lashes I'm doing, and this is the look so far. However, that's gonna get cleaned up once I use concealer and foundation.
So we're gonna start with our face now. So I'm gonna be using two foundations. I'm gonna use Covergirl Ultra Smooth Hair Smoothing Foundation Applicator. It's a Covergirl in the shade 842 Medium Beige. And I'm gonna mix it in with the Wet n Wild Foundation Photo Focus in Classic Beige. So yeah, I'm gonna be mixing those.
Also for my foundation, I'm gonna use Desert Beige and Golden Beige mixed in together.
With this. I'm gonna be using this brush. It's from BH Cosmetics and it's the number 3. So I'll be using this one. the Airspun in translucent extra coverage. And yeah, I'm just gonna bake a little bit. I'm gonna start bronzing, and I'm using my big bold bronzing powder in the shade MetropoliTan, and it's from NYC. So it's already all broken, but I like this bronzer. And I'm gonna go in with this brush right here, and it's beige Cosmetics and number 1. We'll link it down in the description, but they're very good actually. I really like them. I'm gonna try them. But yeah, the bronze. Oh my god, what the hell? What did I do? Gonna put some color in there using this one, and this one I used it to put in the Kenya color in my crease as well, the darkest one, the dark color, and then I'm gonna use it right now in my waterline. And this one is from the same brush set from the beige one, the rose gold one, but this one's in number 6, so I'm gonna be using that one. And then I'm gonna be grabbing this color right here. The number 10, and I'm going with Suri, and also as well I'm gonna put in my brow bone. And for blush, I'm using the Tarte, the Feisty shade, and I'm using the beige Cosmetics, the number 3, and this one's in the I believe is the Studio Pro brush set. This one's very good too as well.
Very affordable and actually very pigmented brand.
gonna spray my face, and I am gonna put some highlight, and I'm using the Mary-Lou Manizer, the luminizer, as the from the Balm. So I'm gonna use that. Liquid lip paint from Mellow, and it's called Tyran. This little one. So this is the final look. Hope you enjoy it. This is hers. Hope you enjoy this look. Inspired by St. Patrick's Day. We'll see you in the next one.
Thank you. Bye bye.